speaker of the day is one of my very favorite friends I've made in the last probably 5 years. Haven't known him for 5 years, but one of my favorite relationships I've made in the last 5 years. He's helped out so many people in Sub 2. He's one of these guys that joined Sub 2 because he saw the vision very early on, and he said, I don't want to miss out on helping build this. He's like, forget about being a part of it. I want to help build it. Much like Suzanne and Justin were talking about in the New England group. Abraham Gray has been that guy inside of Sub 2. Can we all agree with that? And one of the smartest guys I know, especially not just about real estate, he's a phenomenal real estate investor. Him and I are partners on, what would you say, 15 houses at this point?
More.
More? Okay, cool. Somebody's keeping tally, I don't know. Two visionaries shouldn't, we don't know. But we've become partners, we've become really good friends. I've really fallen in love with your family and everything that you are doing as a family man. But above all of the real estate stuff, you're such a great business acquisition strategist, and you're a great businessman all around. And so today, Abraham Gray is going to give us about 30 minutes about buying businesses. So let's give it up for Abraham. Abraham Gray. Mike's all yours.
Mike's all mine. Awesome. So, I talked to a lot of people here today about buying businesses. There was a lot of questions, so I'm going to go through some of that stuff. But there's been a lot of, every single person that's talked so far, before I get into it, how fucking awesome was today so far? How, were these people like, great?
$500 if you don't cuss the whole time.
I lost. All right, so, no, but yeah, great. So, I wanted to kind of like talk about how important being creative is, and then I'll get into some business stuff really fast. But I have a story that like help people want me to tell. So I have this one story that I started talking about a year ago. It's about how to be creative, because a lot of people can't think about every single thing that PACE teaches you is how to be creative. The Morby method, Sub 2, owner finance, hybrids. You know, these are all creative things. So you can be creative in anything in life. It could be in business, it could be in real estate, it could be in your personal life. I can show you different ways I was creative in every aspect of my life, with my family, with my kids, with my wife, with business, with real estate. But I'm gonna tell you one quick story, and then we'll get into some business stuff until we're out of time. So basically, I am the type of person that I know Vina and her attorney was up there talking about, you gotta do this, you can't do this, you got securities. I would go to jail for sure if I was raising money for a fund. There's no question. I can never have a fund. Basically is what I figured out for sure. Because I'd be in jail. So this is the story I'm gonna tell you. So I do tons of fix and flips. Back in like 2020, 21, 22, I was literally buying 30 homes a month. Every single day I was buying a home, and I was fix and flipping most of them. Some I just do a little bit and sell them. But I do a lot of fix and flips. So I don't want to get permits. It's a pain in the ass. It costs more. I have to it slows everything down. I have to get certain people that do stuff. So I don't like getting permits. So most of the stuff I do, I don't get permits for unless I just have to, because I know I'm gonna 100% get caught, or there's already a red flag on the thing. So I'm doing this one property in Atlanta, and I'm basically 90-some% done with the property. And I stupidly enough, I cut down some trees. In Atlanta, it's known in the city to cut down trees, and a neighbor complained, I don't know why, I think her name's Karen. But anyway, she fucking called the goddamn people on me for cutting down trees. So they come out and oh man, this is a big problem, you cut down these trees. Do you have permits, whatever? I'm like, no, they were dying and this and that. They're like, you know what, I don't even care about these trees right now. There's this building here, that the trees are in front of, that looks like it's just been remodeled, it's brand new. And I'm looking at it and you have brand new breaker box in here, you did all these different things. What the shit, where are your permits? I was like, it was already like that. I was like, no, it wasn't like that. It says 2022 on it, it wasn't like that, it was brand new. So I said, yeah, I knew you knew that, I was just kidding with you. But I was like, well, what do I need to do to get the permits, Because I'd rather ask for permission than to, not ask for permission, but ask for forgiveness, right. So, you know what? We've had a lot of problems in the city lately with people doing shit without permits. And we need to cut down on this because, it's dangerous. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking dangerous. I hate people that do that. But he said, this was my partner's project and, whatever. I'm blaming Nick. So, but anyway, they didn't know who he was at the time. So they're like, no, but seriously. So I was like, what do I need to do? They said, well, what we need you to do is turn in your electrician because they just rewired this whole house and they should know better if this is a licensed electrician not to be able to do this. And so I'm thinking to myself, if I turn my electrician in, will I get off the hook? What will have to happen? Well, you just have to pay a little bit, you won't get in trouble, everything else. But you gotta turn them in. We really want to crack down on these people. So I was like, okay, all right. And then I asked them if, we could get this in writing, send me an email saying that if I was to turn this electrician in, that, basically 90% of the trouble I was getting into, I wasn't gonna have. So they agreed to it. And I was like, oh fuck, I can't turn in my electrician. He's been working for me for 20 years. He's got a family, kid, how he makes all this money. If I turn this guy in, I'm an asshole. But besides that, it's just not the right thing to do. So I was like, but you know what? I gotta get out of this trouble because I was gonna have to tear out. I spent a ton of money on this house. I was gonna have to tear the whole fucking shit out and start over. It was gonna cost a fortune. I was like, there's no way. So then I had to figure out how in the world can I turn in my electrician but not get him in trouble, but get me off the hook all at the same time. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. Again, how? It's just about being creative. You can get out of anything just being creative. So I was like, all right. Let me think about this. And so I'm thinking, man, I sat down at my desk in my office. I'm like, oh shit, this is one I have to really think about. And I can come up with a bunch of ideas, but I need to come up with an idea that no one else ever did because they've heard everything probably, right? So, and I told them I'm gonna turn the guy in. So I'm thinking, how can I do this? How can I do this? It's like, fuck, I got 30 minutes later, I got the best idea ever. So I call my, at the time he was my assistant, and I was like, bro, because he knew I had to turn this guy in. He's like, you can't. I was like, I figured it out. He's like, wow, how do you figure out? What are you gonna do? Get out of trouble. I was like, dude, let's find out all the electricians that died in the last 6 months. Let's Google it. Let's find every single one. Let's figure out which one we can use because that'll be perfect. So literally, it's Nick over there. So he actually was the one. He started Googling all these obituaries and all these different things. And he's like, man, this is hard, dude. To find in the obituary the guy was an electrician. And yeah, he finally found a thing. Electricians that died after COVID, and he found 5 or 6 electricians that literally died in the last 4 months, which was crazy. In Atlanta where I was, I was like, call him. Who should we use? Figure out which one. He started calling them all, and he called the first one. He's like, oh, is Pedro there? Nah, he died, but he's like, oh, that's so bad. Is there anyone else that could do work? What type of company is this? And oh yeah, we have 20 other people here, and it's a big company, and he's like, oh shit, I can't use them because they're gonna get that company in trouble. So then he called the second one, something similar, third one. Finally, on the fourth one he called, he was like, oh, is Sam there, And some old lady answered her phone. Oh man, no, I hate to say this, but he passed away a few months ago. And man's like, oh man, that's horrible, what happened? It's COVID complications, and he's like, oh man, well, is anybody else able, I've been using him for years. I don't know who this guy is, but I've been using him for years. And I need him to do electrical jobs. Is there anyone else in the company that can do it? Nah, he was a one-man show. He shut the company down, and then he's like, you know what? Bingo, that's the one. So he calls me up right away. He's like, holy shit. He's like, Abraham. He's like, I got the perfect electrician. I was like, all right, who? Sam. I was like, well, tell me the story. He's like, all right, give me his phone number. So I call up the code enforcer. I'm like, man, I feel like an asshole. I hate doing this because this guy, is kind of a friend, but the fucker didn't pull the purpose. I thought he did. What kind of shit? He put me at risk here. That's bullshit. So you know what? I thought about it. Turn this fucker in. So I gave him Sam's number, and I said, yeah, this is Sam. He's been doing work for me a while. He did this whole thing. And they're like, oh man, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. They signed off that I only have to do really small amount of stuff now to get everything back to compliant, and that was it. And then a few days later, the code enforcement called me up. They're like, man, you're not gonna believe this. I'm like, what happened? Did something else happen? Did I get in trouble with something else? No, we talked to Sam's wife. He just died a few months ago. This crazy. I was like, no, he didn't just die. Fuck, I just used him a few months ago. What do you mean he died? I didn't find another electrician. Well, you know what? I'm happy because I don't want to No, but anyhow, that's how that is. It's all about being creative. I just wanted to show you what I thought was creative. But you can basically get out of anything if you can.